Before I need to proceed with this, I would like to discuss a few queries to you so that we can able to understand the topic.
Okay.
The taxpayer taken the registration in the year of March 2020, somewhere in the month of March to March 11, but you are unable to because government restrictions, unable to access place of business, unable to access his sub accounts, unable to access his consultants. Hence, he filed the form GST 3B after 30th September 2020.
Okay.
Now the query is
Yes.
whether input is allowable or not is the query in the given case.
Well, he has filed his 3B beyond September or beyond November in the COVID
Yes, sir.
period.
COVID period, and especially in the case of Anantapur, many people are dying. At the same time, there was red zones and green zones, yellow zones, whatever be that, unable to because there was a restriction in the movement of the people also.
Okay, they were not able to meet consultant, etc. Okay.
Yes, sir. Now the query is here. The petition is filed that with the challenge section 4, with the section 16 to underlying conditions. Number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, if non-resident under section 39(5), if you allow him, as well as cancel dealers, why can't allow to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And if non-resident is allowed that under section 39(5), why don't you allow me to because that's exemption. Read with equality. 3, because if cancel dealers allowed that taxpayers, why don't you allow to me? And especially in the COVID limitation, I put a question to you: whether government allowed extension is a query.
No.
In COVID-19 period, government not.
Government did not extend the date.
Allowed an extension.
Yes.
It is subject to such a conditional one.
Okay.
If you not fulfill such conditions, that extension of time is not applicable to you.
Yes, sir. You said one thing that in case of non-resident, they can claim credit even after 30th September, correct?
The 39(5). This is a notification issued by the Andhra Pradesh in line with the Central Excise because Central GST Act. It was issued on 11/9/2020. And if you go into that below.
But such extension of time shall not be applicable for
by whatever name called by an authority,
by
commission,
whatever
tribunal,
name
by whatever name
called,
called.
by any authority, commission or tribunal, by whatever name called under the provision, filing of any appeal, this. But such extension of time shall not be applicable for the compliances of the provisions of the said Act as I mentioned below. Chapter 4, 10 subsection 3, 25, 27, 31, 39,
except subsection 3.
Yes. 3, 4 and 5. Okay.
Yes. 5 talks about non-resident.
Okay, even if the non-resident is filing late, they can claim the credit.
Yes.
But the resident cannot claim the credit. Therefore, it is an inequality.
Yes, sir.
And whether the court will agree to this inequality, because.
And before into that, I would like to put a question to you because I'm giving the brief of this one.
Okay.
And, I want to put a question to you. These are the questions has been raised in my written submission to the court.
Okay.
And whether rules prescribed under the Act can override the Act is hereunder.
Whether rules prescribed under the Act can override the Act is hereunder. No.
Is the query number 1.
Whether if the forms
notified under the GST
rules, whether such forms can override GST rules and then GST Act is hereunder.
Yes. Whether such forms can override GST rules or the Act is hereunder. Okay. Whether if the forms notified with the GST rules can take away one substantial rights are hereunder.
Okay. No, it cannot.
Here, Form GST 3B as well as Form GST 3 enabled contrary to the provisions of the Act. Kindly look into that. Repayment is not the criteria while filing of the GST returns.
Where you are reading, sir? Where you are reading? Whether if the forms notified under the GST rules can take away one substantial rights are hereunder. Okay. Yes, sir.
Whether if the forms notified under the GST rules can take away one substantial rights are hereunder. I would like to bring your kind attention. Kindly look into section 7512. Read with section 39. Read with section 49. Payment is not the criteria for filing of the Form GST 3B or Form GST 3 also.
75 subsection 12 and
7512. 7512.
Okay. Just
sorry, I think because my internet is not good, I think so. Shall I move to some other? Hello?
I'm opening 75 subsection 12 so that we are all able to understand correctly. 75 subsection 12. Notwithstanding anything contained in section 73 or 74.
No, because I'm putting a questions to you. Let's see for that.
Okay, okay.
75 notwithstanding anything contained in this section.
Yes.
Notwithstanding anything contained in section 73 or 74, vary in amount self-assessed tax in accordance with your return. Furnished under section 39 remains unpaid, either wholly or partly, or any amount of interest payable of such tax remains unpaid. The same shall be recovered under the section, under the provision of section 79.
Correct. Okay.
Under the same time, for they given explanation that
difference between GST
has been inserted from the 1st January 2022.
Correct.
For this purpose of this subsection, the expression self-assessed tax shall include the tax payable in respect of detailed outward supplies furnished under section 37, but not included in the return furnished under section 39.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
That as I mentioned that. If Form GST 3B is an optional form read with the Rule 61.5 of the GST rules, then in such case, whether such form disown one's right is hereunder read the return council submissions. See, Form GST 3B filed, the word they use, the GST 3 shall not require to be filed in section 61.5.
Rule 60. Can we take out Rule 61.5?
1 minute, sir. Before that, I would like to bring your kind attention that government can make rules on recommendation of the council by way of notification, make rules for carrying out of the provisions of this act without prejudice generally of the provisions of subsection 1. The government may make rules for all or any of the matters which by this act are required to be or may be prescribed or in respect of which provisions ought to be or may be made rules. The power make rules, this is the rules is mentioned that any rules made under subsection 1 or subsection may provide that contravention thereof shall be liable to a penalty not exceeding 10,000 rupees. See, during the impugned period, Rule 61.5, it was amended. And if GST 3 be filed, GST 3 shall not require to be filed.
Okay. Can we take out Rule 61.5?
At the same time, I would like to bring a kind attention. Rule 69, Rule 73, Rule 75, Rule 77. The word, because GST 3B is not mentioned it. GST 3 is exist.
Yes. This provided that where a return in 3B is required to be furnished by a person referred to in sub-rule 1, then such person shall not be required to furnish the return in form GST 3. So what is the implication for this, sir?
Sir, and see, I'm in the view that if GST 3B is not filed, and he may want, you can file Form GST 3 also.
Acha. Well, if 3B is, 3B is not required to be filed, then 3 can also be filed. This is the implication.
Yes. And I would like to bring your kind attention that Rule 77.
Hmm.
So I'm going to bring the facts and everything. Just this is the one it was omitted with because there are certain rules has been omitted as well as
Uh-huh.
section 42 and 43 also got omitted. That is
Uh-huh.
effective from 1/10/2022 onwards.
Uh-huh.
It means it is exists even prior to the date also.
Okay.
And the forms has been enabled with the GST common portal only on pro revenue basis.
Only on pro revenue basis, the form has been enabled. Okay.
In this regard, I would like to bring your kind of attention. If my sales returns over and above my sales, am I eligible to take input? Am I eligible to take refund? As per Rule 77.
Well, if I've reported excess sale in GSTR1, then I am eligible to claim the refund.
Yes, the interest should be refunded under section. This is the one which I already interpreted to the Honorable Court.
Mm-hmm.
And however, it was because escaped the attention of the Honorable Court. And because the interest to be refunded under sub-rule 9 of section 42 or 43 shall be claimed by registered person in his written form GST3 and shall be credited to his electronic ledger in form GST PMT file, and the amount data shall be available for payment of future liability towards interest and
Interest
or
or a
tax.
taxable person may claim refund of the amount under section 54. Okay.
Okay. So here the word the form GST3 mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
And rule 73 also GST3 is mentioned it. And I am because there is a system problem, because there is the form GST3 mentioned, nowhere it was mentioned GST3B. And rule 70, it was 71, it was mentioned GST3 only.
Okay, okay.
GST3 only. And rule 69 also mentioned GST3 only.
Okay.
So if any form notified under the Act, you should not only contrary to because you is supposed to be in line with the provisions of the Act, the provisions of the Act, because in order to at the same time in line with the other rules of the Act.
Yes, yes.
So rule can, because form cannot be notified contrary to the provisions of the Act.
Correct, correct. Well, what you are saying that Form 3B was never in the Act. Form 3B was never in the Act. It
So
was.
one more thing, I'm just giving information to you because these are the more questions which I'm bringing to a fact. I'm going to discuss within this one. These are the questions.
Okay.
Whether one can file such optional form on the basis of records is here under. If the term has been written, has been defined in the Act.
Okay.
Whether form GSTR1 is a written or not.
Not a return. GSTR1
form GSTR1 is a written.
It is a return. GSTR1 is a return.
GSTR2 is a written.
Okay.
GSTR3 is a written.
Okay.
And GSTR3B is an optional form.
Is an optional form. Yes.
Is an optional form.
Yes, yes.
Maybe you may confirm them as a because a written, but is an optional form. So if you kindly look into the form GST3, form GST3 is there are two parts. One is part A, another is part B. Part A is the auto-populate figures based on the form GSTR1 and GSTR2.
Okay.
If, for example, if I availed input on the base of GSTR2, if I file form GSTR2, if it is enabled it, because of if I could not able to file form GSTR3, will you deny my input is a coding.
Okay.
So part B, because for the utilized for the payment of tax, or you claim the refund.
Yes, yes.
Okay, but form GST3B is enabled to contrary to the provisions of the Act. Number two, it's enable pro revenue basis. That is, if my sales returns over and above sales, I cannot because common portal will not accept it
Hmm.
negative values.
Hmm.
Contrary if my output sales,
Hmm.
and if I reverse any input,
Hmm.
form GST 3B
Hmm.
accept negative values only with reference to input.
Accepts? Come again, sir.
If I reverse input,
Ha.
common portal accept
Ha.
negative values
Common portal accepts negative values.
only for the input.
Only for the input. Yes, correct.
This is another one.
Mm-hmm.
And only upon filing of the form GST 3B is the government realize the revenue.
Yes.
Sir, my humble submission is, for example, if we offset there is a output ledger is there, liability ledger is there, cash ledger is there.
Yes.
I mean, an input ledger is there.
Yes.
Output, cash, and these ledgers are maintained with the GST common portal.
Correct.
For example, if I offset the liability on 15th of the following month, if I file form GST 3B with OTP and DSC 25th of the following month, is the government realize the revenue or 15th or 25th is the coding?
The government will realize revenue on 20th due date, after due date.
No, I'm just giving information to you.
Okay.
Offset. Here I'm using the word is an offset.
Okay. Offset is done on 15th.
Once if you offset it, because you pay, though you paid on 14th, once if you offset the 15th, your output liability will be reduced to the extent of
offset amount.
Offset amount. And it will be make you to as zero.
Yes.
Liability.
Yes.
And your credit will be admitted and utilized on 15th.
Yes.
And cash ledger will be reduced accordingly.
Yes.
So once if you offset the GST 3B on 15th, if government realize the revenue on 15th, only upon filing of the return is the government realize the revenue is the coding. No. And you kindly look into that because this fax has been submitted to the Honorable Court. And and you please look into the July 2017 return. Pay tax by 25th of the month, August. File the return on 28th of the August. If there is a difference, there is any payment liability, it is there between 25th and 28th. Then you have to discharge the tax. Interest, yes. Interest. And if my optional form, see, because for example, if I'm not allowed to take input, I'm talking about this one. Return is the declaration of my books of accounts with reference to my purchases as well as my sales, output liability, input, and everything. Okay. And if common portal accepted, it is a comparison statement, it doesn't provide any issue to me. Then my input cannot be denied it. Kindly note into that, if form GST 2 enabled it, my input cannot be denied it. And because section 41 is talks about return. I'm in the view, and read with the section 38. I am in the view that form because the return is here is not GST 3B. Return is form GST 2. And form GST 3B is an optional form. And form GST 3 is a return. And one more thing I would like to bring a clarification. Whether one can be victimized by denying all option with form GST DRC 01A, DRC 01, form ASMT 10, though specially requested then. Denying all such options might be OTOs to such provision is here under. See, one more thing, when I specifically requested is because during my scrutiny, because the officer came to the knowledge of because ineligible input because of delay in filing of the form GST 3B during scrutiny. Can you exercise act in one provision and can you exercise can you determine demand in another provision is the coding. Because the scrutiny talks about section 61. Here, because he came to know, and at the same time, without giving ASMT 10, without DRC 01A, so I specifically requested, and without issuing DRC 01, demand can be crystallized is the coding.
Without DRC 01, can demand be crystallized? That is the question, na?
So see, I'm talking about you should not issue a DRC 01 at all. Before that, you need to issue a ASMT 10. If not, DRC 01A.
Okay.
If maybe officers are mostly in pro revenue basis, if all people can follow that and directly jump with the DRC 01, the provision of section 61, the provision of section 73.5 or 74.5 become OTOs.
Okay.
And also become redundant.
Okay.
Right, no, sir?
Yes.
So, at the same time, if you read section 74 explanation 2, because returns, because when I submitted the data, I cannot victimize, I cannot call as a fraud. So here they because because they issue the notice under section 74. Clear interpretation of the provision doesn't amount the fraud.
Okay.
Whether a proper officer can follow such procedure by applying his own procedure. So there are many things exist here. Even form DRC 07 is not valid here. Okay. So at the same time, these are the moot questions and everything. The main questions are, I'm bringing you facts in this one. Whether rules prescribed under the Act and over the Act is here and there. Whether a form notifying the due rules, whether such form can override GST rules and the GST Act is here and there. So, at the same time, these provisions, and then I would like to bring your kind attention, this repetition not challenged, just like that, it not challenged under section 16.4. It is challenged read with section 16.2, read with section 16.4 underlying conditions. Okay. Section 16 subsection 4 is challenged when it is read with section 16 subsection 2 and rule 61. Rule 61 and rule 69, 73, 74, 75 and 77. Okay. And as well as COVID limitation. Okay. And especially, state is responsible to protect its citizen. And I would like to bring your kind attention whether Constitution Act overrides GST Act or GST Act overrides the Constitution Act. Obviously, Constitution will prevail. State is responsible to protect its citizens. Article 13. 2. No act can disown one's rights, living rights. Okay. Article 14. Equality. Equality talks about non-resident and as well as other cancelled taxpayer. The term amnesty scheme has been issued for that. In tax laws, whether amnesty scheme can be issued for one person or two persons, so it can be issued for the section of the people. Okay. The term amnesty signifies is greater importance here. Okay. If the government allow them, and the intention of the government is supposed to be understand here. And at the same time, can you kindly remember that the notification issued in the COVID-19? Am I eligible to take input without form GST2A, even if the items, because GST2A?
Okay. In my mind, you can take even if GST, the invoices are not reflecting in GST2A.
I would like to bring a kind attention that day, because government has given exemption for filing of the form GSTR1 for the period of February to September 2000, August 2020.
Okay.
But and allowed to take cumulative, because however they put a condition that the supplier has to declare it in September 2020 is written. So what if in case if I mistakenly mentioned as a invoice? What if I miss the invoice? Is the query here. Suppose, for example, if I raise invoice to you as a 99, but erroneously if wrongly punched or swapped, kindly use understand that it's a swap as a 100. Be eligible to take input on the basis of my submission. Input is the query.
If the 2A is relied by the department, even if the wrong, but section 16 subsection 2, I have to also see the condition of clause
I'm
A.
coming to the fact also.
Okay.
If I mention as 100, I cannot be able to, because I issued an invoice number 99 to A, but wrongly punched as a 100 as an invoice. That number, that 100 has been issued to Mr. X.
Correct. Okay.
And I can able to amend the such return form GST1 in the following month. And whether I can immediately make amendment of that return in the next month is the query.
Yes.
And kindly look into that GST portal. If I mention is 100, because in the following month, in case if I would try to amend the return, system will throw an error. Because
immediately it is not possible. Correct.
And if I mention as see, the moment if I try to amend it, if I mention as 100, reflect the A, because person A. But if I try to mention as 99, system will decay.
Okay.
Because the invoice is already exists to Mr. X person, and system will throw an error to you. This is the another aspect.
Correct.
See, generally, even for the amendment of the invoices, read with the section 75.5, we have 3 opportunities are there. And I would like to bring your kind attention here.
अच्छा, बाकी पार्टिसिपेंट्स को भी रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ, कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो प्लीज पूछ लीजिएगा, या कोई क्लैरिफिकेशन है.
Beautifully drafted, sir. All points are very burning points. Very well covered.
Here, if you see here, section 62, assessment of non-filer of returns. Notwithstanding anything to the notwithstanding to the contrary contained in section 73 or section 74, where a registered person failed to furnish a return under section 39 or under section 45, even after service of notice under section 46, the proper officer may proceed to assess the liability of the said person to the best of his judgment. Kindly make a note of that, best of his judgment, taking into account all relevant materials which is available or which has gathered, and issue an assessment order within a period of 5 years. 5 years per data specified under section 44. That is the annual return. Here, best of judgment means, because generally officers was in view that even taxpayers has view in that best of judgment is a pro revenue basis. See, I would like to bring your kind attention that here, the statement and object of the reasons. This is section 1, because this is a bill. this amendment of bill. This is the very object of the GST Act in order to avoid cascading impact of taxation.
Yes, yes.
The goods and service tax shall replace a number of indirect taxes being levied by the union and state governments and is intended to remove cascading impact of effect of taxes and provide a common national market for goods and services. The proposed central and state goods and service tax will be levied on all transactions involving supply of goods and services except those which are kept out of the preview of goods and service tax. And there is another financial memorandum. The creation of Goods and Service Tax Council will involve expenditure on office expenditure, salaries, and surveillance of the officer of the staff. The objective, here kindly look into that, the objective that the introduction of goods and service tax will make the Indian trade and industry more competitive domestically as well as internationally and contribute significantly to the growth of the economy. Here the word they use competitive. Right now, sir? So the very object of the GST Act in order to avoid cascading impact of taxation and is uniform mechanism and the prices are also competitive. That means by removing taxes on taxes, unlike in other earlier regime. Right now, sir? See, this is the one. At the same time, and if you see that in the judgment, Tirumalakonda playbook. The ALD automotives or JM automotives. There is a fundamental difference between the JM as well as ALD automotives. This is the one because we mentioned it. See, in Tamil Nadu VAT form JKALMN is exist. But in GST, there is no such form because the returns is not in force. And number two, there is an optional form exists in GST Common Portal, as explained before the hand. There is no such optional form is exists with Tamil Nadu VAT Act.
Sir, before sir, Naren sir.
Yes, sir.
Before that, I think the audience should know what was the judgment given by the Supreme Court in this Tamil Nadu value added tax. Then sir, they were able to appreciate.
Airtel judgment. These are very important to that. As per the scheme of the 2017 Act, it is noticed that registered person is obliged to do self-assessment of ITC, recon his eligibility to ITC and OTL, including the balance amount lying in cash or credit ledger, primarily on the basis of his office record and books of accounts required to be statutorily preserved and updated from time to time. That he could do even without common electronic portal as was being done in past till recently pre-GST regime. As liability to pay OTL, output liability. That is on the basis of the transaction effected during the relevant period, giving rise to taxable event. The supply of goods and service becomes taxable in respect of which the registered person is obligated to maintain agreement, invoice, challan and books of account, which can be maintained manually or electronically. The common portal is a facilitator to feed or retrieve such information and in order to be a primary source for doing self-assessment.
Correct.
Please make a note of that. The primary is in the form of agreements, invoice, challan, receipts of goods and service and books of account which are maintained by the SEC manually or electronically. These are not within the control of the tax authorities. This was arrangement even in the pre-GST regime, while discharging the obligation under the concerned legislations. The position is no different in the post-GST regime both in matter of doing self-assessment and regarding dealing with eligibility to ITC and OTL. Indeed, that self-assessment and declaration would be anyway subject to verification by the tax authorities. The role of tax authorities would come at time of verification of the declaration and returns submitted or filed by the registered person. Thus, this is the judgment has been given by the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Union of India versus Bharti Airtel Limited. So, return is a, because common portal only is a facilitator. And my books of accounts agreed and accepted, then the question of input cannot be arised in my self-assessment. At the same time, if my books of accounts accepted under Central Act, that is Income Tax Act, how do I, because my input can, because my including my assets and liabilities, that input is my asset, right? How do you can deny in another act? Right, no, sir?
Correct.
These are the, because I'm talking about, because now I'm revolving under 16.4 only. And I would like to bring you a kind attention that, see, because we always read with section 16.4, but because I that was amended during the period. Now, the taxpayer filed their form GST 3B in the month of November.
And that Tamil Nadu judgment in that case, that credit should be taken within 90 days, and that comparison which you are making.
So I would like to, because
okay.
I would let me complete that in 6 bullet points with reference to Tamil earlier act as well as GST Act. The returns under the earlier act is properly notified. Whether I would like to bring you a kind of attention for Tamil Nadu Act. The returns in the GST is not notified properly. Not in force, Form GST 3 and GST 2. The term return has been defined in the Act. The return may be GST 1 and GST 2 particularly, and GST 3.
Correct.
And there is no optional form in Tamil Nadu Act.
Yes.
In GST, there is an optional form. If GST 3 be filed, GST 3 shall not require to be filed. And there is a, in Tamil Nadu Act, on the strength of the invoice, you are eligible to take input.
Correct.
Here, I need to fulfill all 6 conditions under section 16.2. And there is no non-obstant clause is there in the Tamil Nadu Act. In GST, there is a non-obstant clause exists.
Correct.
There is no payment liability. Because payment of taxes is not the criteria in the Tamil Nadu Act. In GST also, payment is not the criteria while filing form GST 2, that is my input return, and form GST 3, and I can regularize form GST 3 at any time. And kindly note that for form GST 1, for form GST 2, and form GST 3, there is a late fee has been prescribed. Okay? During the impugned period. Okay, and so, and another thing is, and contrary to the Act, that optional form is enabled subject to payment of the tax. Read with section 75.12. And section 80. Section 80, I have in the differently because the payment of installment is not available for the self-assessment. Sir, and in case a person commit a mistake, fraud, if you allow him installments, why don't we? I want to comply the Act because there was because especially in COVID limitation, there is a huge cash crunch. Even the government issued the notifications, reduction of the bank interest, and because postponement of EMIs to the financial institutions, even a person who occupied a residential property and his owners directed do not demand rentals, requested postponements. You can understand the severity of the COVID-19 limitations. At the same time, GST is a origin-based, destination-based concept, and Tamil Nadu VAT Act is a origin-based concept. Origin-based concept. There is no strong ID backup in Tamil Nadu VAT Act, but here there is a strong ID backup is there, and even on the basis of this case, because the robust mechanism, because government look into that, what is the purchases, you are aware of that, everything they are aware of that. At the same time, and there is no COVID limitation. Here the COVID limitations exist. There are huge fundamental differences that exist. Fine, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now I would like to bring you a kind of, with reference to most of the, because section 16.4 I have given facts to your office. At the same time, now I am going to bring the section 16.2. Sir, he is in possession of, because here he is in possession of tax invoice or debit note issued by a supplier registered under this act or such tax other paying document to any as may be prescribed. Because there is an invoice mechanism, and only on the strength of the invoice you are not eligible to take input. For example, in sale and approval basis, you can send the goods, but you can raise the invoice within 6 months. Suppose if I send a sale and approval basis today, if you receive, and I can have time till September. So if you allow it, how do you can do this and input the restriction? And because, for example, if I raise an invoice today, if I not receive the material, not on a sale approval basis in the following month, I'm prevented to take input because subject to receipt of the goods and services as mentioned it. So what if another things? Even if I raise invoice, because I can raise invoice, I raise the goods now, I send the goods now, but I can raise invoice in the next month. As per the invoice rules, I can raise invoice within 30 days or 60 days.
Yes.
As the case may be. So in the case, if you look into that on the invoice, because if I I send the material on 30th March, if I raise invoice in the following month, do I have 12 months of 12 plus 6 months or 9 months? Now it was extended to 9 months. I have extended period of time. Then putting restriction, this was challenged it.
Acha.
And another thing is the details of invoice debit note. This was communicated to the taxpayer. Section 37. So here I mentioned that there, because what if in case error punching, and in COVID limitation there was a given extension to that, exemption to that.
Okay.
And he has received goods or services or both. Sir, I would like to bring your kind attention here. Here I have different, because the reference to goods I have the clarification. With reference to services I have the clarification because queries. And if I enter an agreement with Airtel for annual subscription for next 36 months, as per the contractual obligation, date with the term continuous supply of services or goods. If I made a payment in the March month itself, for next 36 months, am I eligible to take input in the March month or next 36 months is the query.
We have interpreted when I got the right to receive the goods, then I can take the credit.
Pardon?
What we interpreted, when we get the right to receive the goods, then we can take the whole credit. Suppose my AMC starts.
Understood. See, the thing is, Airtel raised invoice in 30th March 2023, for example, for you. But the goods or services pertains to for next 36 months. Means 2023, 2024, 2025. Then, as per the section 16(4), if interpreted in such a way, that money has to forego by you.
That money has to?
That input has to be forgone by you.
Acha, foregone by me. Okay.
Because the thing subject receipt of the goods and services. See, one more thing. I worked in a defense company, and we used to do manufacture the products earlier as per the directions of the Ministry of Defense.
Okay.
Because of the non-availability of the robotics, sometimes we used to manufacture the goods 2 years or 3 years also. Like a launcher is a big contract. So, in that case, we are supposed to receive goods because there is a payment milestones are exist. The payment milestones might be an advance, and whatever may be that. And there is a specific contract. If it is qualified as a continuous supply, if I receive money in advance, I supposed to raise an invoice to you also before the hand.
Yes.
Continuous supply of services. Statements, if you look into the section 31.
In case of continuous supply of goods, where successive statement of accounts or successive payments are involved, the invoice shall be issued before or at the time of each such statement issued, or as the case may be, each such payment is received.
See, the Act enabled it in GST Act. Because never ever consider the nature of the business, certain industries. It is unique to all. See, for example, there are certain, because I given information to you. I worked in industry. If I want to manufacture a product, the product has to undergo the 100 buyers or 100 vendors also for modifications and everything. So, if it is a success, because as per the contract, because of the amount of effort, number one, effort as well as volume of money, I may demand in my contract agreement from my recipient, yes, you need to pay the tax, this much money before the hand, staggered manner. And they, if you are eligible to take such input, am I eligible to take in because input, then without receipt of the goods and services, are you eligible to take input? As per section 16(2), you are not. Sir, one more thing, many people are taken, one school of experts taken a view of the deemed. Sir, when the act is clear, how do I can able to mention as a deemed? Right, no, sir?
Correct.
So, this is the one. I would like to bring a candidate and at the same time. Subject to provisions of tax charges in respect of supply has been actually paid to the government either in cash or through utilization of input admissible in respect of said supply. And even today that I didn't aware of that because even because form GST 1 read with section 7512. 7512. Maybe a person may be discharged the tax. He raise invoice for because one may be filed for 1 crore rupees and GST 3B can file for with 0 also.
Yes.
Then how do you can able to do it? For example, if you cannot file the 0, he may be 60 lakhs. How do I can able to know that he discharged the money on my invoice?
Yes, correct.
Here he has furnished the return under section 39. Here, who is he here?
The recipient.
See, there are two school of experts. One was in view that he is a supplier. Another one is a recipient. If you look into the not mentioned anything contain no registered person shall. Then here no registered person means about is a supplier.
Recipient.
No, supplier, no registered person shall be entitled to the
Credit of any input tax.
Yes, input tax is talks about supplier.
No, shall be entitled to credit of any input tax. I think it should be recipient, because in clause A they are writing the he is in possession. Who can be in the possession? The recipient can be in the possession. Therefore,
No, I'm talking. Okay, I understand. I mean that I'm talking about 16.4 because I'm the recipient.
yeah, 16.4. Okay.
Okay, I'm looking to that because the recipient only. Here, because the thing is, while filing of my return, in the capacity of the supplier.
Okay. While filing your return, no registered person. Okay.
Supplier.
Take. Okay.
So here means no registered person shall be entitled to credit of any input tax in respect of any supply of goods or service or both to him unless. Here means the recipient is not eligible to take input. Means the recipient while filing because the return is here, which is the one return. The return is talk about supplier has to admit his at the same here the word they use that he. Who is he?
In my opinion, it should be recipient.
Maybe because there are two interpretations is there. Kindly look into that. So there are two interpretations are there.
Okay.
And here otherwise without that you can remove that he furnished the return. Furnished return under section 39. Here the word and has been used that, then he has been used that.
Acha.
Here the word used that no registered person shall be entitled to the credit of input tax. And furnish the return under section 39. What about in case if he? Who is he here? There are two interpretations are there.
I think in earlier days, two interpretations were there, but right now we are all very clear that only one interpretation is there, that the recipient, he here means recipient, because the clause A using he, clause B using he. Therefore, we think that he is the recipient, not the supplier. And in clause C, the subject to the provision, the tax charged in respect of such supply has been actually paid to the government. The person who is charging the tax is the supplier, and he has paid the tax to the government. And
he has furnished the return.
And he has no. And is used here in this clause after semicolon means that 1, 2, 3, clause A, B, C, D, all the clauses should be satisfied simultaneously, then only the credit is available.
And just I'm interpreting this one.
Okay.
And we can able to because different pool of experts is there. I'm in the view that recipient. I'm in the view of the recipient.
Okay.
However, there is another school of experts interpreting the other way.
Okay, no issues.
And at the same time, provided that where the goods are recognized or invoice are received in lots or installment, the registered person shall be entered upon receipt of the last installment. Already given to you. Because this is another category. Now the query is, especially in COVID-19 limitation, and when a government put the restrictions to me not to move from out of my place of business because my house, if I comply my fundamental duties, not to move from my office, my home, do I need to? How do I need to compel to file my return? So this repetition is challenged read with the section 16.2 versus 16.4 underlying condition, read with the article, read with the preamble, article 13, article 14, article 19, article 20. No one cannot be penalized twice. Article number 21, and I need to because securement of secure life. Article 51. When I comply my duties, how do you can deny my duties? Okay. Article 265. Article 300. At the same time, there is one judgment. It was there. The Howrah Taxpayers Association.
Achha.
This is very much important to us. Okay, no one cannot be penalized twice against Article 21, 20, Article 20. Okay, at the same time, this is the one only for the late payment, because the additional burden on the government, and they provide the services to me and collect the late fee. Right, with the how they can deny my GST 3B as well as input.
So what was the, this is very interesting judgment. The late fees was challenged, and was the taxpayer able to win the case?
Let me complete it, sir. At the same time, I would like to bring your kind attention here. You kindly look into that Finance Act, that is Service Tax rules, because 7B. If late fee has been paid, all the proceedings delay in furnishing of the returns should be deemed to be concluded. That I brought it. There are many other judgments also. That is also I brought it. For example, because in COVID limitations, many taxpayers because registration got cancelled, and that too without providing an opportunity, and they prevented to file the returns also. In the case, ultimately the all taxpayers successfully wins, and if they allowed it, how do you put a question to me? If the government issue the clarification of late, then how do you can put a question to me? Because GST 3B is not extended, government issue the clarification also during the COVID period. And kindly look into that, because in that case, subject to such conditions, they are given the conditions. And if you because if you nil rate for first 15 days, one rate of under 9% thereafter. So if you look into that, and one more thing, there is section 168A in the Gazette, 29 September 2020. So notwithstanding anything contained in this act, government, because anything contained in this act, the government may, on recommendation of the council, by notifying extend the time limit specified in or prescribed or notification under this act in respect of actions which cannot be completed or complied with it due to force measure. The force measure. Okay, what is force measure?
War,
epidemic,
flood, drought, fire, cyclone, earthquake, or any other calamity. Okay.
Okay, so for September month, government has been issued it, and government, and at the same time, I would like to bring your kind attention this 168. So there is 168A is there. I am not able to immediately locate it. Okay, and because if you look into that, there is a because it was extended the returns for other acts. That is except with the CGST Act, but under other indirect tax act.
Okay.
Okay, and because however
Sir, we will conclude in. Can we conclude in another 5 minutes? Is it possible?
No, sir. What was completed, sir?
Okay.
Yes, sir. Completed, sir.
Okay. Any questions?
We file the review petition also, sir.
Acha, you will file the review petition also. Sir, stop the screen sharing. Just.
How do need to stop, sir?
There is a stop button in the down, if you can see.
Okay, fine.
Okay. And I request all the participants if they can open their video, and we can discuss something. Some interaction should be there. राजेश जी, शेट्टी जी।
जी सर, नमस्कार।
नमस्ते राजेश जी, वीडियो ऑन हो सकता है क्या? जिनेश जी,
सर, अभी पटना हाई कोर्ट ने 16/4 पे एक डिसीजन दिया।
हाँ,
और उसने एक्ट को सर्वोपरि माना। तो उस पे सर क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं, उसको उन्होंने देखा होगा डिसीजन को।
नरेंद्र सर,
Sir, I'm not good in Hindi, sir.
अच्छा, the Patna High Court has given the decision that the section 16 subsection 4 is constitutionally valid. So what is your opinion about that judgment?
Sir, and there is another in Patna High Court. This is talking about Patna High Court, right?
Yes, Patna High Court.
And I think there is another back petition is there. And whatever the because mentioned it, it is not taken to the honorable court. So I think because I already explained that one. Because in the grounds nowhere has been mentioned that, because one High Court also because bound to follow the Honorable Supreme Court judgment. If it the grounds, and at the same time because in Airtel case, I think they may not taken this one, but in my case I taken this one, but it was missed the attention to the Honorable Court.
Okay. तो राजेश जी, ये कह रहे हैं कि ये जो पॉइंट्स जो ये उठा रहे हैं वो पटना हाई कोर्ट में शायद नहीं उठा था, और ये जो आंध्र प्रदेश कोर्ट में उन्होंने उठाया था तो वो शायद कोर्ट ने मिस कर दिया था वो सारा पॉइंट्स, तो इसीलिए रिव्यू पिटीशन डाला हुआ है।
ओके, थैंक यू
सर। वन मोर थिंग, I would like to bring your attention. Kindly make a note of this one, because for the this is the one Siddharam Gopal Reddy.
सर एक मिनट इंटरप्ट कर रहा हूँ, क्या जो पिटीशन आपने डाली है उसका कोई सबमिशन की कॉपी हम लोग को मिल सकती ताकि हम लोग भी उसको पढ़ सकें?
Sir, one thing, sir, here if you look into that, this one, because 21827, make a note of the repetition.
Okay.
This is, we filed the petition. This is the this is the petition.
Okay.
Gopal Reddy.
Okay,
you can make a note of this one. It will be very much useful to you. It is a because whatever I mentioned to you, repetition, and this was everything has been covered.
Okay. Yes.
So because kindly look into that so that it will be useful for you. The term written is here form GST 2.
अच्छा, मेरी जब नरेंद्र सर से बात हो रही थी तो उन्होंने बहुत एक अच्छी बात बोली थी फोन पे, कि मैंने उनको कहा था कि गुजरात हाई कोर्ट ने कहा कि 3B इज नॉट ए रिटर्न। फिर मैंने उनको कहा कि ये तो रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट से चेंज हो गया, 3B को रिटर्न बना दिया गया। तो उन्होंने कहा कि हम फ्यूचर थोड़ी देख सकते हैं। आप समझिए, जब गुजरात हाई कोर्ट ने जजमेंट दिया कि 3B इज नॉट ए रिटर्न, तो जो भी हाई कोर्ट का या सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट आता है दैट इज इफेक्टिव फ्रॉम रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव। जब से एक्ट था तो 1 जुलाई 2017 से लेकर जब तक अमेंडमेंट नहीं हुआ रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव का, तब तक 3B वाज नॉट ए रिटर्न। जब 3B वाज नॉट ए रिटर्न तो सेक्शन 16 सबसेक्शन 4 कैसे एप्लीकेबल हो जाएगा? तो पूरी
वो कहना बिल्कुल सही है। क्योंकि गुजरात हाई कोर्ट ने जब ये 3B इज नॉट ए रिटर्न जब कहा, तो मेरा ये मानना है अगर हम किसी के ऊपर टैक्स इम्पोज कर रहे हैं तो उसको रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव तो कर ही नहीं सकते।
Excuse me, sir. One more thing, I would like to bring your kind attention that and the Gujarat High Court judgment has been struck down by the Honorable Court in the case of AAP.
अच्छा.
But at the same time, in Gujarat High Court judgment, read with section 39, read with section 61, and a circular they mentioned it. Because the grounds which I mentioned it, section 164 I already explained to you. Section 73, because 69, 73, 70, 71, and there's a 77, everything I clearly given to you. And the term return form GST 2 is the return. That is not brought the attention of the Honorable Court. At the same time, there was a fundamental difference between the earlier, because the rule the rule 61 is amended in 2019. Thereafter, there was again it was amended and subsequently. And if you, because even the one which I provided to you, if form GST 3 be filed, GST 3 shall not require to be filed. Otherwise, in case if they require that, because they can remove the because form GST 3 is written like that, they can mention it. No,
Narendra sir, can you tell me what if I am filing GST 3 today manually and claiming the credit? Is it possible?
Sir, one more thing. I have a certain reservation in that, because paying tax, once if you pay the taxes, government will be eligible to claim the refund immediately, where the government will grant the money to you. It is not like a bank account. Just I'm giving information. See, because many people could not challenge it, because as per the government intention, once if it is because file the return, government realize the revenue. But in between, I'm telling you, once if we offset the liability, kindly look into that, because if you offset the liability on 15th, so you not file a return because of issue with the DSC or year and number, whatever may be for that. Then, because my intention is only upon filing of at the same rule 49(2), it was clear to that, because you need rule 61, section 60, rule 61. Just a minute, sir.
बक्सेटी जी, पुष्पेश जी, कोई सवाल है तो पूछिएगा।
अच्छा, बक्सेटी बोल रहा हूँ।
हाँ।
सर का प्रेजेंटेशन एकदम सही है सर। हम भी यही कह रहे थे। जो लेना 10-11 आप ही लेना। मैं बेसिक कर रहा हूँ कि GSTR 1, 2 और 3 रिटर्न है।
ओके।
Can you look into that?
हाँ, सही है सर।
Every registered person furnishing the return under subsection 1 shall, subject to the provisions of section 49, discharge his liability towards tax, interest, penalty, other amount by debiting the electronic cash ledger or credit ledger, and include the details in part B of the return in GSTR 3. Okay.
See, the thing is, it talks about offset.
Correct.
Once we offset the liability, every registered person furnishing is subject to liability towards tax, interest, any other amount payable under this act by debiting the cash ledger or electronic ledger. Because this talks about debiting. And here they mention part E of the electronically generated on the basis of GSTR information furnished GSTR 1, form GSTR based on the other liabilities of preceding tax periods. Form 1 and Form 2 under other liabilities. So, the mechanical portion is absent. And I can regularize the return at any time. Return means any return prescribed or otherwise required to be furnished by or under this act or the rules made thereunder. Okay? And what is a valid return?
Valid returns means a return furnished under section 20, which is self-assessed, on which self-assessed tax has been paid in full.
Okay, full.
Okay.
I can regularize this one. At the same time,
every registered person shall, subject to such conditions and restrictions as may be prescribed, be entitled to take the credit of eligible input tax as self-assessed in his return, and such amount shall be credited on a provisional basis to his electronic credit ledger. The credit referred to in subsection 1 shall be utilized only for payment of self-assessed output tax as per the return referred to in subsection.
This is section 38. Now, the return is form GSTR 2. Hello? The return is form GSTR 2, sir.
Yes.
So I'm just giving that form GSTR 3 is a auto-populated figure. Yes.
जितेंद्र सोनी जी, पुष्पेश जी, कोई सवाल? अजीत तिवारी जी।
सर, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि 2 डिसीजन हाई कोर्ट के एडवर्स आ गए और अब डिपार्टमेंट भी काफी तेजी से 16(4) के नोटिस निकाल रहा है, तो फिर डिफेंस क्या होना चाहिए हमारा?
वही तो डिस्कस आज हो रहा था, वैसे मैं पुट कर देता हूँ क्वेश्चन को। Narendra sir, the Pushpesh Paliwal is an advocate from Madhya Pradesh, and he is asking that there are 2 adverse judgment of the High Court. Now, how to put forward to the High Courts, remaining High Courts or review petition, so that we are able to win the case?
We already filed a review petition, and my prayer was misprinted. Even audited also misprinted. At the same time, my written submissions, whatever I explained to you, everything I mentioned to my my affidavit, counter affidavit, as well as my written submission. At the same time, show cause notice is a prerequisite to issue to confirm the demand. And here DRC01 will be issued it, but the DRC01 not issued it. Okay. Even the order has been issued under classification. Okay. However, because considering the facts, because my written submission was escaped to the Honorable Court and we filed the review petition. At the same time, I given one Siddhaban Gopal Reddy. One judgment to you, means one repetition number to you. Kindly make a note of that, and it is because self-explanatory. It will helpful you. It will be helpful to you a lot to you. Okay. जितेंद्र सोनी जी, कमल पोद्दार जी, सवाल।
सर बक्सेटी बोल रहा हूँ।
हाँ बक्सेटी जी बोलिए।
Most of the questions has been disabled.
Yes, Narendra sir.
Sir, most of the
your voice is not audible. Your voice is not coming.
As well as rules got omitted with effect from 1/10/2022 onwards. Audible now, sir?
No, come again, please.
Most of the provisions as well as rules got omitted with effect from 1/10/2022 onwards.
Okay.
It means it was exist prior to the date. So you can take a shelter of that. You can argue the case.
Okay. हाँ बक्सेटी जी क्या कह रहे थे आप?
सर ने जो प्रेजेंट किया है ना सर एकदम सही है, क्योंकि पहले दो प्रेजेंट नहीं किया गया था सर। नजरअंदाज किया गया है।
Okay. ठीक है। Narendra sir, he is saying that the presentation was very good, excellent, and we have never heard about this kind of presentation. It was very nice.
Thank you, sir. One more thing, sir. This petition I taken this one with a lot of, because I'm a chartered accountant basically. I have an experience from Assam to Kerala because I worked in a defense company. I used to take it that because though I'm a chartered accountant, I would like to submit that I don't know income tax.
ठीक है, good.
I'm only specialized only VAT, central excise, service tax, and in spite of the Honorable Court Supreme Court pronouncement in the case of Airtel case as well as AAP case, I proceeded that because I have additional grounds.
You have additional grounds, okay.
So with additional grounds, I went to that, and I was in belief that just to bring your kind attention that if a man dies, it unknowingly affects 50 people. In COVID, because I worked in a shell company, which is a manufacturer of petrochemicals, because hazardous notes, because I came from industry into CA practice.
Okay.
So I taken shelter that I always respect my preamble.
Yes, correct.
And Article 13. So with this motto, I've been because especially in COVID-19 limitation, I proceeded.
Okay. One or two questions. Jitendra Soni ji and Kamal Podar ji. Praveen Gupta ji. Ajit Prasad ji. I think there are no questions. We can conclude. Narendra sir, can you give me the host? Just give me the host.
Host, sir?
Click on the participants. In the downside, there are button participants. Click that.
Yes, sir.
And in my name, there come to my name, and there will be 3 dots.
Yes, sir.
Just a minute. Yes, done. It is done. Okay, thank you. तो और कोई सवाल है तो पूछ लीजिए।
सर उसमें किर्लोस्कर का भी केस ऐड कर सकते हैं सर उसमें।
किसका?
किर्लोस्कर कर्नाटक हाईकोर्ट का।
कर्नाटक हाईकोर्ट का किर्लोस्कर का केस क्या था वो केस?
मशीनरी प्रोसीजर है करके बोलता है।
अच्छा, इट इज अ मशीनरी प्रोसीजर। सेक्शन 16 सबसेक्शन 4 इज अ मशीनरी प्रोसीजर। ओके, कमल पोदार जी।
मेरा ही पैसा लेने से रोक रहे हैं सर।
ओके, so can we, Narendra sir, can we take a ground that it is a machinery provisions, section 16 subsection 4?
Sir, if you look into that, because my entire presentation reveals that what I want to be, because what we want to be.
Okay, okay.
Because 16, and it is a technical procedure.
Technical, okay, okay. Yes, yes, it is a technical, correct, correct. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. You came here and enlighten us about section 16 subsection 4. It was a very good learning experience for all of us, and we are highly benefited, and your presentation was highly and enriched with so much knowledge, and you have so much knowledge, and it got transferred from you to us very smoothly. So thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. So we conclude it here, and next अब हम लोग जो अपना करते हैं वो हम लोग मंडे करेंगे, है ना? Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.